Welcome to Book Solid, the home service growth podcast. Helping service businesses capture more calls, respond faster to leads, and turn more opportunities into book jobs.
At 12:07 on a Tuesday, an HVAC company's phone rang. Nobody answered. At 12:22, it rang again. One caller needed same-day cooling service. The other wanted to know if someone could come out before dinner. Neither caller got a response until the next morning. By then, both had booked another contractor. The owner knew the phones were busy. What he didn't know was that this was happening in the same 2-hour window almost every day. And he was about to cancel a marketing campaign that was actually sending good calls.
Welcome to Booked Solid, the home service growth podcast. If you run a plumbing, HVAC, electrical, roofing, landscaping, or other home service business, you're in the right place. I'm Jeff, and today we're looking at a simple question. Which unanswered calls are costing your business the most attention and possibly the most recoverable revenue? Most owners know they miss calls. The harder part is knowing when those calls happen, where they came from, what the caller needed, and whether anyone followed up. That's what we're going to uncover with a short weekly review I call the No-Answer Audit.
This is not a data project. You don't need a new dashboard, another advertising campaign, or a spreadsheet with 50 columns. Start with the last 7 days of phone activity and about 20 focused minutes. The goal is simply to find one leak that is clear enough to fix this week. Maybe calls are piling up during lunch. Maybe after-hours callers wait until morning. Or maybe one lead source is reaching the wrong phone. Or maybe your team answers the call, but the callback never happens. Before you spend more money creating demand, make sure the demand already reaching you has a fair chance to become a customer.
Open the call history from your phone system, answering service, or office software. Create 5 columns: total calls, missed calls, KIME, source, outcome. That's it. The total call count tells you the size of the traffic. The missed call count shows where to look first, but don't treat it as a pile of guaranteed lost jobs. A missed call could be a wrong number, a vendor, an existing customer, or someone who called back and reached you later. And I can hear the objection. Jeff, I'm not going to pretend every missed call was a $400 job. Good. You shouldn't. We're looking for recoverable opportunity, not a scary number for a meeting.
Next, record when the call came in. Group the calls by hour and day. A weekly total can hide the problem completely. You might answer almost every call in the morning and still lose several good opportunities between noon and 1. Then add the source when you know it. Google, a referral, a yard sign, a service reminder, a paid campaign. If you don't know, write unknown. Don't guess. A rough unknown is more honest than a precise-looking answer that isn't real. Finally, connect each call to an outcome. Booked, not booked, unreachable, wrong number, or still unknown. Check booking records, call notes, text conversations, and if available, a small sample of recordings. You're not investigating every call. You're trying to understand what actually happened after the phone rang.
Here's where the numbers become useful. Let's say a company received 120 inbound calls last week. 18 were unanswered. Looking at comparable answered calls, the company finds that about 40% became booked jobs. The average completed job was $450. 18 missed calls multiplied by a 40% booking rate multiplied by $450 gives you $3,240. But call that $3,240 of recoverable opportunity, not guaranteed revenue. Some callers were outside your service area. Some may have been shopping around. Some were never going to book. The estimate is a decision tool. It tells you whether the leak is worth fixing and how much effort might be reasonable. To stay conservative, use the booking rate from the same service category or the same time period. You might even start with missed calls that left a voicemail. The goal is not to make the number exciting. The goal is to make the next decision smarter. Now, picture that HVAC company from the opening. The owner was looking at campaign cost and thinking, this source is too expensive, let's cut it. Then the team sorted the calls by time. Most morning calls were answered, but from 11:30 to 1:30, there was a small cluster of missed calls nearly every day. One record showed a caller saying the house was already 84 degrees. Another asked for same-day service. Both calls sat without a response until the following morning. Those are fictional examples, but the pattern is common. A few calls in a narrow window can be more valuable than a large anonymous weekly total. When the team checked the source, several of those lunch hour calls came from the campaign they wanted to cancel. That campaign wasn't necessarily the problem. The coverage gap was. The owner didn't need to make a major marketing decision yet. First, he needed to make sure someone could receive or quickly return those calls.
Once you have the list, look for concentration. Start with the clock. Are most missed calls happening during lunch, late afternoon, evenings, or weekends? A narrow gap is good news, because a narrow gap can often be tested without changing the whole business. Then look at the kind of caller. An emergency no heat call may deserve a faster path than a request for a replacement estimate. A homeowner with water coming through the ceiling is making a different decision from someone asking about maintenance next month. Now look at what happened next. Was the call routed to a technician? Did it go to voicemail? Did somebody send a text? How long did the callback take? We call everyone back is not the same as we call everyone back while the customer is still deciding.
Only after that should you choose a fix. If the leak is a 1-hour lunch gap, schedule real coverage for that hour. If calls from one source are going to the wrong line, correct the routing. If missed callers tend to leave voicemails, create a callback block with one clear owner. If almost nobody leaves a message, immediate overflow coverage may be worth testing. Notice the order, find the pattern, then match the response. Don't buy software just because the phone log made you uncomfortable. Don't hire staff before you know whether the problem is a single hour a day. One fix, one owner, 1 week.
Curious. So what would a useful 7-day test look like? First, write down your baseline from the previous week. Total calls, unanswered calls, response time if you have it, and booked jobs connected to those calls. Then change one operational thing. Add a lunch hour handoff. Forward unanswered calls to a trained overflow person. Create a callback task within 5 minutes. Or give the office a short intake process that confirms service area, urgency, and the customer's preferred appointment time. Keep everything else as steady as you reasonably can. If you add new advertising, change pricing, rewrite the script, and replace the phone system all at once, you won't know what helped. Track the same numbers each day. At the end of the week, compare them with the baseline.
Choose the success measure before you start. Maybe unanswered calls during the problem hour fall from 9 to 3. Maybe 90% of missed calls receive a response within 15 minutes. Maybe the team books 2 additional jobs from calls that previously went cold. Pick one primary measure, and keep an eye on quality too. More answered calls don't help if the team books poor fit work or misses basic intake questions. A small sample of notes or recordings can explain the difference. Did the caller need emergency service? Was the appointment available? Did the person answering have enough information to book the job? The purpose of the test isn't to prove that one solution works forever. It's to learn what is happening in your business before you invest more time or money.
Here's the whole process in plain language. Review the last 7 days. Count the calls and the unanswered calls. Sort them by time, day, source, and type of work. Connect them to an outcome whenever you can. Estimate the opportunity with a conservative booking rate and average ticket. Call it recoverable opportunity, not guaranteed revenue. Check a few real records so the pattern matches reality. Then choose one fix and run it for 7 days. You might find a lunch hour gap. You might find slow after-hours callbacks. You might find that valuable calls are being routed incorrectly. Or you might discover that answered calls are dying during follow-up. Any of those answers is useful. A phone log becomes valuable when it leads to a specific operating decision.
If you want more practical ideas you can put to work on a busy Tuesday, download the free guide 107 Quick Wins for Home Service Businesses at ProfitPulse.biz. Take the guide, open your last 7 days of phone logs, and choose one fix to test this week. You don't have to implement all 107 ideas. Start with the leak you can see.
The big idea is simple. Don't treat missed calls as a mystery, and don't treat them as guaranteed lost money. Review the evidence. Find out when calls go unanswered, where they came from, what kind of work they involved, and what happened afterward. Estimate carefully. Test one response for 1 week. Simple measurement can show you where customers are already trying to reach your business. Fix that handoff before assuming you need more leads, more staff, or more complexity. Thanks for listening to Booked Solid, the Home Service Growth Podcast. If you found this episode helpful, subscribe so you don't miss future episodes about capturing more calls, responding faster, and booking more jobs. And if you know another contractor who could use this, share the show with them. Until next time, keep building systems that turn more calls into booked jobs.